Hey guys, welcome back. This is Eric Lowe from Swordwind Historical Swordsmanship. In the next series of videos, we're going to be presenting basic warm-up stuff that is a way for people to keep up their fencing when they are at home. There are a lot of ways to practice home fencing. What they all basically boil down to are practicing fundamentals or practicing techniques. What we're going to be presenting in this series of videos is fundamentals. These are not things that you ever stop doing. A full week of home practice should always include a significant amount of fundamentals. You are never appointed a fencer where you can kind of stop practicing the basics of cut and thrust and movement and focus only on techniques. If you do have techniques to practice, of course you should be working on those, but oftentimes video content sort of skips over the fundamentals aspect of practice, and that's what we're here to remedy. So let me say a couple of things about what you are going to see in these playlists. First, I'm going to be demonstrating everything with a sharp sword. I do this because this is the sword that we are training to use with, not the practice ones that we hit each other with in sparring. If you have a sharp sword, you should be practicing with it at every safe opportunity. If you do not have a sharp sword, it should be on the list of things for you to buy in your HEMA experience. If you do have a practice sword, but not a real one, of course you should be using that. But if you don't have either of those, you can still practice with any handle that works for your mechanics. These are just things I pulled out of my kitchen. What unites them is that they have non-round handles and they have enough room for me to establish a good grip on that handle. You might notice neither of these handles particularly looks like a sword handle. This one is too fat, this one is too skinny. That is not important. What's important is that you have a reference point for what your hands are doing. The point of fundamentals practice is to drill into your body. This is how we move when we are operating a sword. Well, for that, all you need to know is my hand correct? Is my hand correct on the weapon? And are my limbs arranged properly in space to do what I want to be doing? It's really easy when you get started in swordsmanship to get very excited about swinging around something long, to feel the weight of the blade pulling your limbs through space. That's not to say that's not important, but what is more important is that you learn to move your body so that you are operating the weapon, not the weapon dragging you through the motion. Which means if you can only practice when you have a particular length or a particular weight of object in your hand, then you are not actually learning how to fence. You are subordinating yourself to the weapon when it should be the other way around. So, even if all you have is a spoon out of your kitchen, you can still do all of the exercises we're going to be doing in these videos. Speaking of which, in order to let people follow along, I'm going to be doing just reps of 10 for various cuts and thrusts. You will quickly find out when you are doing this at home, not all of your reps are perfect. There are two ways to relate to that. One is to accept that you are an imperfect human being and not everything you do is going to be perfect, and that's okay. Just move on to the next rep. That's the way we're going to be shooting these videos. You will see not everything I do is perfect. We're just moving on so that people can follow along. However, it is also important to practice for perfection. The tricky thing about that is that you can never tell how long perfection is going to take. The way I like to practice this is I will pick one cut or one thrust and say I'm going to do 10 of those, but only perfect ones count. So maybe I'll set up and I'm doing a right over how and I throw a cut. Okay, that one wasn't perfect. My backhand was off relative to the handle. The sword wind was not good. That one doesn't count. That one was better. The sword wind was better, but I felt my hands twitch to the right, making my cut crooked at the very end. That one doesn't count. That one, maybe I count. It was better than the last one. I can still feel my wrist off. So maybe, you know what? Maybe it doesn't count. That one was better, but the sword wind was off. Maybe I accept that one. If you practice for perfection in this way, it can easily take you half an hour to get 10 acceptable reps. We're not going to film any videos doing it that way because there's no way for your mistakes at home to match up to my mistakes on camera. But it is an important part of your practice. Please do not neglect that. I recommend bouncing back and forth between banging the reps out and focusing on that which actually meets your criteria. Lastly, you're going to see me saluting to my right in these videos in the direction of the dawn. The reason for that is because it reminds me that I'm doing this for a reason. It's really easy for home practice like this, especially fundamentals practice, to become kind of drudgery or a chore. I salute to the east at the beginning and end of my practices because it reminds me I started fencing during a very dark time in my life, and HEMA probably literally saved my life. I do not think I would be here without it. Saluting to the east reminds me that every day is a new morning, that I am still here, and that I am practicing all of this for a more personal and a more profound reason than I want to get good at hitting people with fake swords. Or even I want to get good at cutting inanimate objects with real swords. I don't know what your reason for practicing HEMA is, but I hope you have a reason that is more personal and deeper to you than I want to hit people with swords. And if you do have one of those, I encourage you to find a way to build it into the beginning and the end of your practice, because at the end of the day, this should be something that is meaningful to people. So you're going to see me modeling that for you in these videos. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope these videos are helpful, and we'll be back soon with another one. Until then, make your salute, and swords down.